rare kickoff return opportunity for Ray McLeod, and he comes to the side. He dropped the ball at the 30. He was smacked at the 30. Ball came out, was rolling around at about the 32. No signal.
Come on, baby.
No signal. Yes! Vikings ball. Yes!
The Analyst.
Courtesy of Sukup and Sukup.com. Here comes Pete Bercich at Pete Bercich via the X machine for hardcore football conversation. And this whole thing is just fantastic. And off the highlight that Mad Producer just dropped, Asamoah causes a fumble on a Ray McLeod kick return. CJ Ham falls on it, plays into the complete game yesterday. 6 offensive touchdowns, couple of picks, and a fumble recovery on that Ray piece. 11-2, Mr. Analyst. What'd you like about yesterday?
Wow, I think what I did like is the way Sam Darnold handled pressure. Meaning early on he was sacked a few times, didn't make any mistakes, big mistakes, the fumbles, the interceptions, that kind of thing, and then I guess kind of played the long game in that regard, where later on in the game when he was pressured, he was using his legs, kept his eyes down the field. We had talked about this, I think, over the last couple of weeks, and we were saying we're going to face a team that's going to not put the emphasis on just shutting down Justin Jefferson, right? And obviously I think the Falcons felt it more valuable to pressure Darnold than it was to necessarily cover all the wide receivers, or at least, be super detailed in how they were going to do it, or have a plan for how they were going to do it. They just relied on getting to Darnold to be the answer, and they made him pay big time for it. So I think that's, and I think I said it, I don't know if I said it on the podcast or whatever, but I said this is going to be one of KOC's favorite games, because there's nothing better for an offensive coordinator than when you have a defensive coordinator that wants to be aggressive and blitz the tar out of you to just beat them deep, right? That's one of the better feelings, I think, in football. And so that's exactly, it's exactly what the Vikings did. And the turnover you played was perfect. Atlanta had, Atlanta was a very Jekyll and Hyde kind of team, because if you watched them against Denver, they didn't hustle a lot, especially in defense. They just, it was interesting. And then you watched them against the Chargers, and it was a completely different team flying around. Caden Ellis blowing people up, Onyemata, Goldman, Grady Jarrett. It was, they gave up 187 yards, 49 of which was on one play. I mean, they beat down an offense, an NFL offense. And then it was after that, the fumble return on the kickoff return, after the fumble, on the kickoff return, that you could just see that switch flipped on them. And then that last drive at 98 yards, where we did a lot of the damage on the ground. That doesn't happen a lot. I don't know if you know what I mean? We haven't seen a 98-yard drive with, just checked with a bunch of 15-yard, 20-some yard runs along the way, and then running in for a touchdown right at the end. I think that was the coup de grace, the icing on the cake, whatever you want to slap on the end of that one.
Sam Darnold is the only Vikings quarterback ever to have 10 games in a season with a passer rating of 100 or more. My man, Sam the Man on the Fan, he's hit full stride, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he has. He's definitely. And we talked about him having the yips and, down in Jacksonville, and how frustrating that game was, but we still found a way to win it. That's why you got to have balance. You can't just be one-sided. The defense stepped up and had a very, very good day, and that allowed this team to do enough to win. So while he was going through his rough patch, the defense stepped up and did what they had to do, and then now we're seeing him come out of it. And I think any franchise that's out there that really digs into the film on Darnold, they'll understand this is not kind of a one-hit wonder. This is not kind of a guy steps in for 4 or 5 weeks and just lights it up. This is a guy who started the season, had success, and then defenses changed, did things he struggled. He struggled for a while, but then he worked his way through it. And then you always come out better on the other side. And you can go through all the top quarterbacks in the league now. And at some point in their career, they had a stretch of games that was terrible, but they worked through it. They stayed with it. And I think he's done that. So I think we're seeing the best of Darnold. I mean, over the last couple of weeks, we've seen some throws, especially the ones on the sideline throws are remarkable. There aren't many people, many quarterbacks in the league even that can throw some of these from near hash to the far sideline over the fingertips of a flat defender to Jordan Addison. Those kinds of throws are just absolutely remarkable what he's been able to do.
Pete Bercich at Pete Bercich via Twitter. No. I mean, it's the National Football League, so in the ultimate team game and with the oblong pigskin, you can get weird bounces, but no real reason to think they'll lose to the Bears, right?
Yeah, the Bears. What a enigma that whole thing is, right? I mean, Caleb has a decent game before us. He plays against us, looks really good. Then they implode. They fire the coach, and usually after you fire the coach, you get a 1-game bump because the players understand we got to turn it around or else we're next. And then they go up and put 4 yards and give up 328 and one half of football to the 49ers.
4 yards,
right? It's like what is going on? And so I'm anxious to watch the film to see what's happening with that group. But yeah, they're in a bit of trouble right now. This is a Monday night game, so it's nationally televised. So everybody's going to be watching it. So I'm sure they're going to try to put their best foot forward. But you talk about a dumpster fire. They got some issues going on over there, and just hope they don't make it right too quickly. That's why this is the kind of game where you got to jump on them quickly.
Yep.
And make it a snoozer for the national TV folks. They're not going to like it, but who cares about them?
Into the game yesterday, Pete, Patrick Jones was a late scratch, and there were a couple of moments that in particular kind of splashed for me with Dallas Turner. Now, he doesn't get the sack, but he absolutely crushes Kirk. Yep. And there was another play, I think it was a TFL on Algier. So is there anything about this kid from just a pure is it an idea essentially that he's starting to get it? Is it still just by way of depth that he's not going to get the reps unless there's a situation like Patrick Jones being out? But I thought the rookie splashed in a couple of spots yesterday and took advantage of the opportunity. What did you see from number 15?
Yeah, you can see when he can see ball, get ball, you can see the athleticism and the strength and those kind of, all that. It's just experience. It's identification of a play, understanding, being on the edge, how they're trying to block this thing. And this is where Grenard and Van Ginkel are pretty darn good. They're almost masterful at it, meaning they know what kind of a run and what the offense is trying to do and how to counteract it. Sometimes you have to squeeze. Sometimes you get up, all those, because you're out there in space, really turning everything back in. And I just think for Dallas, it takes him just a fraction of a second longer to kind of diagnose everything that's going on in front of him. Because even on the play that he hit Kirk, what you'll see is the play starts, he's not blocked, and he takes a couple of shuffle steps and then realizes, oh, I'm free, and then turns on the gas and still has the speed to hit, to get a good hit on Kirk. Now, had he read it like perfectly, or as quickly as I think Van Ginkel or Grenard could read it, I think it would have been a sack instead of just a hit on the quarterback. So it's just reps. He just needs some time. A lot of times when you have injuries, you have to throw a guy out there and live or die with them. But when it's like you're going to take one of your playmakers off the field between Grenard and Van Ginkel, that's hard to do. So he's getting better. It's just, I think he just needs reps, and we'll go from there. But the kid definitely has all of the physical tools that you need. He just needs game time, diagnosing time, learning how to read his keys. He has as good of a position coach as you could get at this level, and with all the experience in the world. So I think the future's bright for him.
Time for two more.
Jalen Redmond is fitting in quite nicely in the latter stages of the season. 2 passes defensed yesterday. We discussed this during the broadcast. Harrison Phillips, he has 4 this year. He had 6 in his career up to this season. So you get these defensive linemen with the passes defense. But Jalen Redmond, who knew, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's as Flores of a thing, right? As you've ever seen. Look at the other. Jerry Tillery and Jonathan Bullard. Jonathan Bullard bounced around the league a little bit. Jerry Tillery bounced around the league quite a bit. And you have a late draft pick. Late draft pick with Jalen Redmond, unless he was an undrafted free agent. I can't remember at the moment.
Undrafted.
But you had Taki Timon, he's in there doing stuff, making things happen. So the interior of this defensive line, I think, is a little bit banged up going into this game. I think Harrison Phillips was questionable going into it. So maybe that's part of the physicality part of that defensive front that we were missing yesterday, and explained a lot of the. Let's face it, Bijan Robinson's a good player, good running back. They have a good running game, solid offensive line, and they were able to get some yards on the ground. Why is that? Well, I think our defensive line is just a little nicked up, but Jalen Redmond has been. This is the time of year when guys, if you want that momentum going into the postseason, guys like Jalen Redmond and Dallas Turner need to start showing up. Right, the younger players. You had some fresh blood, on the defense. Guys making plays that weren't 10 weeks ago. So I think that's great to see. But for Redmond, he's fitting in nicely. The light bulbs finally turned on. The game slowed down for him proverbially. He's seeing blocks better, playing them better. He's just quicker. And he's been fun to watch.
Redmond came into the game with the Carolina Panthers, undrafted May of 2023. Practice squad with the Panthers, eventually signed by the Vikings in June of this year, and he's never left. Nordo?
PA, speaking of Jalen Redmond, PA laid it out. Batted passes. I brought this number up earlier. 8 batted passes in the game yesterday, Pete. A couple of them by Redmond. And PA also noted that Harrison Phillips, I believe, may have his career high in batted passes. It's like 4 or 5, and he had 4. There you go. And he had like 6 in his entire career. What I'm curious about is how easy is that to coach, and how easy is it to execute from a D-line standpoint? You're so focused. You mentioned, how you read plays, and Dallas Turner with a couple of shuffles before he's like, oh, I'm uncovered. Let me go hit a guy. Right. How are you consciously trying to beat your O-line guy in front of you, and also paying attention to the timing of a play, and then timing the ability to get your arm up in the air and bat something down? There's a lot going on.
But that's a nice question.
And I'm not, and I don't know how they coach it here, but I do know with the defensive line, you have to be cognizant of the drop by the quarterback. Because if it's a 3-step drop by the quarterback, even if you're free, you may not be able to make it there in time, right? But if you feel that short drop by the quarterback, you try to balance up and get in the throwing lane, and then time getting your arm up in the air, or time the jump to bat that thing down. Sometimes on a longer 5 or 7 step drop, if you're running a certain line game and your job is to penetrate or collapse the pocket, you kind of do the same thing. You take that offensive lineman as far back as you can. And if you can't get there, then you balance up and then try to time up and get your hand up in the air as he's throwing. So it's a feel for the game. It's an understanding of what the offense is trying to do, from, especially, again, if you face a team that throws a lot of quick passes, that has to be one of the things you do well, because you're not going to get there no matter what, because the ball is out so quickly. So you get in the throwing lanes, you balance up, and then you get those, you get the big paws up in the air, or a team that likes to throw checkdowns. So it's a feel that D linemen are taught, and then they learn. It's just like, when do you run a spin move? When do you bull rush? All those things is just getting a feel for the game. And they're obviously emphasizing that. It's something I believe that if you asked any of them, are you emphasizing these things in practice about balancing up on short drops? And I'm sure they're being taught all those things, and it's really helping, because those incomplete passes add up, and that's how you get interceptions, right? Tips at the line of scrimmage, and only good things can happen if you can get your big paws on a football if you're a D lineman.
Appreciate you, man. See you out there soon. All right.
See ya. Thank you.
The Analyst.
Pete Bercich, courtesy of SouCup and SouCup.com.
What are you trying to insinuate?
Come on! Oh, good. Oh, good. Sack! Pressure Points, courtesy of SouCup and SouCup.com.
Pressure points.
Oh, that was smooth. Who sings All I Do Is Win?
T-Pain.
Okay.
And then it's a collective. I think Luda's in there. Rick
Okay.
Ross, Snoop.
Yeah. If you missed the All I Do Is Win, 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 win montage, it was impeccable. And it'll be played back along with some drive-bys yours truly conducted in the victorious Minnesota Vikings locker room following the throttling of Chains and his gang yesterday.
Hey, so with 6 in a row, by the way, with those chats, which are fantastic. I mean, it's obviously it's a post-game chat. It took place yesterday. I get it, but being able to get the player perspective in the interview is priceless. So what I'm curious about, though, it started out like a 2-minute chat. It started out like just grab a couple of questions, couple of guys. Well, teams won 6 in a row, so suddenly now it's 20 minutes. Now it's an FVP marathon segment. You bounce it around, and everybody on the backs of winning 6 in a row, they're totally cool with the weird phone microphone contraption, and they want to talk to the Vox. I think it's cool.
Well, that's cool. That's nice of you to say. But if I can take you in the weeds here for 32 seconds, if you're so inclined.
Well, I always am.
Well, here's how it goes. Now, walking up to the players, that's not a problem. I'm there enough, and I do ancillary things with the players involving chapel and things like that. So I've gotten to know a lot of the players and coaches outside of football. So walking up to the players, that's not when the drive-bys are being executed, that's of no concern.
Okay, cool, yeah.
I broke up a little conversation yesterday between Jordan Addison and Brian Asamoah and then put them both in. It's the metamorphosis of it is first and foremost Vikings media relations. All right. So you got Spearfish, you got them all.
Yep.
And when the announcer's walking around the locker room with the contraption, all right, well, there has to be the nonverbal, like wink or yes or hand gesture. By all means, go up and chat with a team. So their acceptance and their flexibility to let me walk around the locker room with these drive-bys, that's first and foremost. Secondly, it's not just that I have a lot of friends who work in the local media, whether it's Ben Gessling, Alec Lewis, Kevin Seifert, it just goes on and on. Well, and then TV cameras and Reggie and Ahmad and Dawn and Doogie and people like that are in there too. Well, I have a high level of respect for the work they're trying to do too. So I ain't trying to make anybody wait around an extra 5 minutes for Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, Sam Darnold. Well, he does a press conference, or Jordan Addison or whatever.
Right.
So it's being aware of what they are or are not doing. So therefore, I'm not clipping on their schedule either.
Yeah.
So there's that's in the weeds. Super exciting conversation. Very interesting. What I just shared. But just to let you know, that's how it works is when you hear me walk around and I'm padding going like Vikings killed Chains today and Justin had 2 and Jordan had 3. I'm just watching which way the media goes and I go the other way.
Correct. Yes.
So they roll up to JJ. I roll up to Van Ginkel. They want to whoop it Van Ginkel style. I roll up to Addison. So that's kind of the inner workings of it.
My favorite part of them, and you'll be able to hear it during the final hour, is when you say, all right, last one, and then you ask 3 more questions. All right, last one.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. But there's a
It's the best, though.
No, but there's a method to that madness, too. Because then those around me think it's the last one. And so therefore they're like receptive, and here it is. And oh, wait, one more. Okay, well, anyway, what do you think about Chicago? But they're fun to do. Pressure Points courtesy of SouCup and SouCup.com.
Pressure points.
Couple ways we can go here, but I want to clip on NFL du Nord. The Detroit Lions 12-1. And with a victory over the Vikings, the fan has learned. So game ahead and a tiebreaker. Bills Sunday at Ford Field, correct?
It is at Ford Field.
Thank you. Then they're at Soldier Field. Then they're at San Francisco. Then they have the Vikings at Ford Field. The Eagles, 11-2. Vikings have a better NFC record, but the Lions are the target at which to shoot. But the Eagles, when you're thinking about seeding and like who's going to go where and why, Eagles are 11-2. They've won 9 in a row. They didn't get by Carolina yesterday until early in the fourth quarter. And the Eagles finished like this. Pittsburgh at Lincoln Financial, that's losable. At Washington, that's kind of losable. Dallas and Giants at home to finish. Win-win.
Yeah, win-win.
But remember, the Eagles, here's the pressure point, courtesy of Sukup and Sukup.com. Sukup.com. The Eagles were on a heater or a bender of a positive variety last year, and then things got a little goofy at the end of the season, and they took a fat L at home late. It might have been in the penultimate, but late in the season as a huge favorite to the downtrodden Arizona Cardinals. And then they lost their first playoff game. I believe it was against Tampa Bay. And I also believe it wasn't really a close game.
Oh, that was James Conner. They gave up 220 rush yards that day at home to the Cardinals.
Oh! Well, here's why I bring it up with the pressure point with the Eagles.
Yeah.
They've won 9. This is from ESPN.com. It's some bird seed. The Eagles have won 9 in a row. They're 11-2, but they're frustrated. Here's wide receiver Devontae Smith after a victory yesterday against Carolina. Quote, when asked, what needs to improve with your offense, quote, being on the same page, thinking the same, seeing the right signals, just going out there and making it work. You know how I should have done this? I should have read these quotes and then asked you if you thought these were from players on a team that lost a game, because that's how you frame it up. The Eagles entered Week 14 with an NFL low 307 passing attempts this season.
Wow.
That's analyzable. I mean, not only did 9 to noon have no idea Southern Methodist University had a good football team for the first time since the Pony Express with Craig James and Eric Dickerson, but we also had no idea the Eagles had an NFL low 307 passing attempts. It's analyzable. Now, given the team's success and Saquon Barkley's prowess, the receivers have taken to their reduced roles, according to this story.
They've run for more rushing yards than passing yards this year.
Right. Now, okay, well, what does that mean? And we don't have to have that answer now. Jalen got goofy last year. Jalen and the coach got goofy with each other last year about the passing game.
Yeah.
And now you got high-end skill guys wondering when we're going to be on the same page. Bro, you've won 9 in a row. I mean, the pages are turning just fine. But even though the pages turn just fine, it doesn't mean the book has a happy ending. From the story, there were a couple of instances when A.J. Brown clearly beat one-on-one coverage and was not targeted. He did not have a pass thrown to him until the waning moments of the first half. He tossed his helmet after coming off the field following a 3-and-out in the second quarter. This team had won 8 in a row into this game. A.J. Brown pressed after the game on what the offense needs to improve. One word, passing. When asked how hard it is for a receiver to get into a rhythm when the offense isn't passing the ball that much, Brown responded, incredibly tough. The standards are high among a gifted group of players with championship aspirations. It's not a big surprise, then, that Smith's takeaway postgame, which echoed the thoughts of several others, is that offensively, we need to be better.
Ooh.
Now, where's Jalen in here? He said, I think the Panthers did a good job. I think we did a bad job. That starts with me, how I execute. Ultimately, you yearn, and I yearn for better synchronization, for a more complementary style of ball, in a sense, Some things don't get you until they get you. And there's definitely been some urgency there trying to figure it out and got to keep climbing and trying to progress. So should the conversation of being on the same page be happening this late into the season? Hurts replied, no. I'll just say no. Pressure Points provided by Sukup and Sukup.com. Got a little pressure up in this thing, don't you? Sukup.com. It's happening. It's happening again to these Philadelphia Eagles at just at the perfect time.
I'm trying to think right now, because you mentioned seeding. It's still too early to figure that out, because really for the Vikings, they're going to be a wild card unless they win the division. So you're thinking about the Eagles, but if you wanted to avoid Lincoln Financial, let me ask, in the playoffs,
Pressure Points.
Just dumb throwaway bit. Would you rather play at Ford Field in the postseason or Lincoln Financial in the postseason?
That's a very, very fair question, Davey.
Because if the Vikings end up with the 5 seed,
It's a fair question, Davey.
they would have to be the worst remaining team, as in they upset the 4 seed Bucks.
Let's take this to the 42.
But then the Eagles, as the playoff standings go right now, Detroit Lions get the bye. Eagles would host the Commanders.
Ooh,
So
you got some playoff pairings in front of you, Yasai.
So Eagles beat the Commanders. They move on. They're the 2nd seed.
Yeah, but they might not beat the Commanders.
They might not. That's true. Absolutely. But I'm just thinking Ford Field or Lincoln Financial.
Mm-hmm.
The Seahawks then would host the Packers. They beat Jordan Love and the Packers.
And those teams play this week, I believe, on Sunday Night Football.
And we got them around the corner as well. The Seahawks out in the West.
And the Packers.
The Vikings go to Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings, let's just, again, we're playing this out. Vikings, and this has nothing to do with the Packers. I'm just thinking about Ford Field or Lincoln Financial.
I got you.
Vikings beat the Bucks. If they are the worst remaining seed.
Okay, wait, I got to change my face on the beat the Bucks. And I know we've won 6 in a row. Sam the man on the fan with 5. 18-3 combined for 5. Yeah, I was there for it. And everybody was there for it, watched it or listened to it on KFAN. Why I need to change my face is because of how Tampa Bay played the team last year.
Right.
Now, but wasn't that the first game of the year where, granted, we go to the yell card, but we thought we were going to win every step of that game, right? Then it was like, what? Taki Taimani's out for the season? What?
Taki Taimani. That was the game where I believe I think we went 3 and out. At least we punted and then we turned the ball over.
Yeah.
So that within the first 5 games, I think 3 of those games we turned over on the first possession.
Yep.
The other 2, and same with Philly. We had that great return. I think it was Brandon Powell after a punt.
Yep.
And then he coughs it up and things got weird from there on a Thursday night. So turnovers galore. Yes, we thought we were beating Baker and the Bucks the whole way.
I'd rather go to Atlanta than Tampa Bay is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah. So we got to find, but they have, so the Falcons have the tiebreaker by beating the Bucks twice, but they're a game back right now. Mm-hmm. So they got to get back into the W column. But if the Vikings are the worst remaining seed after Wild Card Weekend by upsetting the Bucks on the road, technically from a seeding standpoint, they would go to Ford Field. If either the Packers or it'd have to be the Packers. If the Packers upset Seattle, they go to Ford Field, and I believe we would go to Lincoln Financial. I still have to shake it off, PA. I know it was a weird week post-miracle, but I mean, people eating horse manure in the middle of the street. We got sheets that say bleep Millie.
Yep.
We got full unopened beer cans being thrown at fans.
Right.
We got people, who was it? Was it Elfline that broke his ankle or something on the field?
And that was just at the Army-Navy game.
I always love that one.
It's at FedEx this year, by the way. Pretty pumped about that.
Oh, it is?
It's in D.C., yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
okay.
Creasel and I will be there doing Radio Row. It's going to be awesome this weekend. But Ford Field or Lincoln Financial, I'm kind of leaning. I'd want to take on the Kitties. I'd want a third matchup in the postseason.
Yeah, the Vikings-Lions, all the games are close. All right,
Yeah.
but we have an alarming trend here.
Yeah, we're not beating them very often.
Right, and we used to beat them every time.
Okay, maybe I want Lincoln again.
And see,
I'm very impressionable.
And Green Bay is facing the same thing. They used to beat them all the time. Now they never beat them. I think Green Bay's lost 6 of the last 7 to Detroit. I had a conversation with somebody who knows a lot more about football than both you and I Saturday afternoon. And we were talking about the Detroit Lions. And Jared Goff never throws down the field anymore. Okay, everything is quick hit, run after catch. The running game's the bomb. The offensive line's the bomb. I mean, it's probably the best overall offense that I've seen since the 1998 Vikings, for my taste.
Wow.
Just the way they can, I mean, the tight end screen they ran to Sam Laporta, between the numbers and the hash marks in that Packers game and how they got their guys out there as quickly and coyly as they did. I mean, I had to get up out of my couch and go, are you kidding me with this? I mean, holy cow, where'd you get that?
Yeah, it's an absolute machine, and they've taken on the we're going to go for it anywhere, anytime mentality of the coach, right? I mean, those fourth down touchdowns they scored on the Pack the other night, and just it's relentless. It's a freaking machine that it feels like if you're not on the front side of it, you're not getting out of there with a W.
How about Jordan Love's? How about Jordan Love's nice touch pass to Tucker Kraft, front right of the end zone, when he overthrew him by 5 yards, 100 miles per hour, and Kraft was wide open.
It's
like, are you kidding me? I mean, how does that even happen?
Yeah, you're pulling your hair out. I'll say this:
Jordan Love just caught a stray,
but I know he did, and it's real, and the back foot stuff is real, and it's a problem. They still just drop 30 on everybody, and just. Josh Jacobs being the perfect running back for LaFleur and how he implements him.
Yeah.
And there is, and Jordan Love, by the way, what he effed up in the end zone with Kraft, he threw one of the most beautiful under pressure throws.
Oh, Watson?
It was across the field. I think it was to Watson. Perfect over the fingertips of the defender. So then he just ruins your world with moments like that. Like, wow, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then he tosses it 50 feet above a guy's head.
Well, but the point the person made to me was, ever since Jared Goff had a 5-interception game, they are not going down the field.
Interesting.
I mean, they're never throwing deep stuff. Goff back to pass, deep shot, left side, 40, 50, whatever, caught by Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's, and there's something to it. Whether it's the way he got hit in certain games the last month and a half, that 5-pick game, or maybe the short stuff, run after catch is just that good. But there's that.
They still won that game, by the way.
They're not right. They're not going down the field. And, we started discussing it after the Anzalone injury, but now with everybody they are losing and they have lost, Dan Campbell went for that fourth down late where Montgomery sealed the game because his defensive players, who generally play 7 to 15 plays a game, and now they're playing 55 to 70, they were all done. It was over, Johnny. Can't put him back out on the field. This David Long bit, can't put him on the field. Wait, Pat O'Connor, we can't. No, we just can't. We just can't. We have to go for it here. So Dan recognized that he stretched the elasticity or lack thereof so far that sucker was about ready to pop.
Yeah.
Where will it be when it comes to the games that you're talking about? Anzalone probably will be back. Or might be back.
Might be.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson's all done. So,
well, they've been talking about that too. That he could potentially at least be doing some sort of physical movement.
What?
They believe if they got deep into the postseason and the Super Bowl, that the kiddies might at least have an option, that it wouldn't be impossible for Aiden to play in the game, which would be nutty.
So that plays into it, how Philly finishes.
Yeah.
And what type of pressure points, thank you, Sue Cup, they are facing now with their quarterback and wide receivers, and everybody frustrated they barely beat Carolina. And Detroit with these injuries.
Let's go Bills, let's go Niners.
Let's go Bills, let's go Niners. Let's go Bills, let's go Niners. And I'm going to share this with you later because I don't want to clip on NFL Du Nord anymore. And by the way, it can trickle over into the 11 too. But yeah, it's somebody or some group on this Eagles game made $400,000 yesterday. That's a really, really nice payday. The route to get there probably took years off lives. I'll explain that to you eventually.
Welcome back. It is News Du Nord, brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. Poker, blackjack, and table games all year round. You got the super cool NFL Pick'em game on Thursdays. You get that MVP card, which is free, gratis. You can get that from the desk. And then now you've picked the NFL games, might win hundreds of dollars. But they got cool events and everything happening year-round. So go to CanterburyPark.com. We'll start locally, PA. The Wolves lose 114-106 last night to the Golden State Warriors. And it was a game really kind of in the Wolves' hands, it felt like, and I mentioned this to you off air before the show, there was a little bit of a classic Steph Curry hits a bucket or two. The crowd at Oracle, if it's still called Oracle, I'm not sure. But you could feel kind of this wave happening, and the Dubs found themselves on the right side of it. But overall, a lot of West Coast action lately. They've won 4 of their last 5, 4 of their last 6, which included hosting Sacramento, the Lakers, and Clippers. Then they went on the road for the Clippers and 2 against the Dubs. Oh, yeah, now they host the Lakers on Friday, and they have the Dubs again in a week and change. So that's where they're at. Weird layoff this week, PA, because of the NBA Cup. It's the Magic and Bucks, Mavs and Thunder on Tuesday. Then it's Hawks, Knicks, Warriors, Rockets Wednesday for the quarterfinals. I think the semis are on Saturday, I believe. But the rest of the league's just kind of chilling. We're in a fantasy basketball-related group text in which there are some apoplectic people regarding the number of games this week. I'm one of them, although I'm working, so I can't participate in the rage.
Yeah, right.
But Gleeman's got it all figured out, so we're all good there. But Wolves lost. Get the W maybe on Friday night against the Lakers, and then on to the Wild. How about the Wild? They are still tied with the Jets in the division, and then the Washington Capitals for most points in the NHL.
Yep.
But it's Anze Kopitar. It's Fiala la la la, and it's a 4-1 loss. It was actually just 2-0 until the final couple minutes. You pull the goalie, and then it's Trevor Moore with a couple empty netters. Yakov Trenin gets one for the Wild.
That game was boring.
Very, isn't that kind of...
That game was boring.
Is that kind of LA Kings hockey, though?
I don't know. Maybe it's because we were down 2-0 so quickly.
Yeah.
Everson did us a solid last night. His Columbus Blue Jackets beat the Winnipeg Jets, and that sucker was tied at 1, I think, middle part of the game. And then I didn't follow it after that and until this morning. But 4-1 Columbus, so Everson's squad handled the Peg. And we have a Vox in the Box on Thursday. Vox in the Box Thursday at Tria, where the team practices. And Alex Stalock will be joining the show from 10:30 until conclusion.
Oh, sweet.
That's going to be on Thursday. Friday Football Feast Friday, Buffalo Wild Wings, Roseville. Oh, yeah, the Howl. I think Chris Finch joins Wednesday at 9 a.m. And there are a lot of things about which we can chat with Finchy. I didn't like last night's loss, and I watched the entire thing like a fair amount of Wolves fans did. I didn't like it.
Okay.
And here's why I didn't like it. Because that iteration of the Golden State Warriors should not beat the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Right.
And Curry can go ahead and do Steph Curry things, and you can check him too, by the way. That's not against the rules. But in a game where they're down Andrew Wiggins, and Wig can score, and Wig can check Anthony Edwards, all right? So when you have those things not going your way, I just felt they lollygagged a little bit in the third and fourth quarter, and we've seen that before. But Anthony Edwards bugged me the other night when and I love Ant, and I'm Team Ant, all right? But they beat the Warriors, and Anthony lost his mind at the end of the game. He was yelling at somebody in the front row. Okay, that happens. But he walked by Steph Curry right next to his ear and yelled, "Go home!"
Right.
I ain't on that.
Yeah.
I'm not. Too many rings. Bastion of class, bastion of excellence. You got to control yourself there.
Well, and what's weird about it, too, and I love Ant as well, he does some of it, like...
And he was doing it again last night. He was this all wound up again last night.
Well, yeah, but a week ago, hey, we're bleeping front runners.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing, front runner things
right.
a week after talking about, and he did truthfully include himself in that conversation. But once in a while, what was it earlier this year? He's dropping somebody, he's throwing somebody the bird on the court. Like, what are you doing? Like, just calm down and be awesome. You're a budding superstar. Do all of those things. But stop doing the front runner like bits. I mean, and it's funny when we're winning, but he's doing the X stuff. You know, the crotch bit in the playoffs last year.
Yes.
It's funny when we're winning, but more often than not, some of this stuff's coming during tumultuous times.
Well, I actually went to the X machine with this. I don't know why I did, but because I was frustrated.
Yeah.
And it was after a win.
Hot tub was empty, wasn't it?
It was after a victory, and he was so wound up with the go home stuff. I'm just the self-awareness of recognizing to whom you're yelling the go home It has to be there because you know what? If baby Steph actually was like, you know what? I don't care if I get thrown out of this game. I'm not going to shoot this free throw. I'm going to back up and I'm going to count the amount of fingers I have that has rings that you don't have. And you may be the flavor of now, and you're a bona fide superstar, and we're happy for the Olympics. But do you have any idea how hard it is to win a championship? Oh, that's right. You don't.
Right.
So get out of my face.
Oh, and then go win 3 more after that first one. I mean, that's the thing with like Klay Thompson.
Get out of my face, man.
Klay Thompson isn't the Klay Thompson we've seen be one of the historical shooters and perimeter defenders in NBA history. He's certainly not that guy necessarily anymore.
Right.
But people give him crap because he's sitting on the bench holding up the fort. It's like, well, he did win those. I mean, you do have to give him a little bit of credit. He's kind of being a jackass. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. But he did win those rings.
Yeah.
And until we get to that stage, or even just finding one, I mean, that would be amazing. It's let's cool off on the go home bits.
Yeah, maybe we spend more time on the Hal tomorrow or Wednesday. Conley's still not right. He's playing better. It's still the bit's still not right.
Yeah.
I like that he's playing Minot, and Minot's playing with a lot of confidence. It's going to take him a while to get up to speed.
I think that's why the injury to Dillingham's so frustrating, because Conley's not holding that spot. You know what I mean? If Dillingham was healthy, able to get some run as a rookie, of course that matters, reps and rhythm. But there would be
more to that too.
There would be more spots for him.
But his breakout game with all the crossovers and the stop and goes and the hesitations and the floaters and the key, it was the bomb.
Yeah.
Well, the game went to overtime and Finch kept him on the bench. So
something's up.
Yeah, there's something that happened there. I mean, we're not breaking down all 10,
right?
And watching D. Alford fall at the foul line. He must have the recognition or lack thereof for the 19-year-old must have been so bad in such spots. I can't play him.
Yeah.
And I saw it too, Micah. I can't play him.
Although it has changed, and maybe it's something you can bring up with him on Wednesday. There's been a clear, not a mandate from anybody. He's the coach. He mandates it. But he's like, we're not doing the 7-8 man lineup, right? We're not going just 2 or 3 deep. We are going to get Josh Minot into the game. We are going to have a Luka Garza roll in for 3 minutes and take 5 shots, little stint. He is expanding that bench a little bit, and I think overall, despite that L yesterday, it's been a positive.
Yeah, it's for sure. But that team last night, that Warriors team,
you need to beat them.
They were begging to be beat. I mean, Kuminga's okay. He's in and out. Draymond, I really liked when Rudy Gobert kept scoring on Draymond Green. Because Draymond was talking all that stuff in the postseason last year about Rudy and everything. Man, just go ahead and dunk on his ass. Seriously, which he did. That was a frustrating one for yours truly last night.
Well, I mean, every night it's a different person. Like Buddy Hield, DeAnthony Melton.
Bro, Buddy Hield.
Trace Jackson Davis.
How many did Hield hit last night? 7? I mean, he had 5 threes at one point. Oh, that's what started with Ant. Because Buddy and Ant were going back. Bro, it's Buddy Hield.
Yeah, he had 27 last night.
Yeah.
After playing 13 minutes and getting 4 in the Friday game. Like, they're just pulling it from wherever they can get it other than Curry. You got to beat that team, absolutely.
All right, when 9 to noon continues, I'm going to tell you how a Rube or a group of Rubes won $400,000 yesterday, and shame on them. But you know what? You're living right. And also, we're going to cold call Parker Fox, who just sent me a text from Indiana. The morning shoot around, the super special practice before the game against the Hoosiers this evening.
What else is it called?
I don't know what it's called. I mean, I feel like I'm leaning over a batting cage at some college basketball court. I have no idea. But we'll cold call him for a couple of seconds. Wish him well tonight. And then let's say about 17 minutes from now, we fully intend to replay the fantastic montage put together by Eric Nordquist, along with these drive-bys that I executed yesterday. If you missed them earlier, hopefully you like them. We think you will. That's all around the corner on KFAN.